All right. Morning. I was thinking about the notion of ethics versus morals. And it's one of those things that quite often we as people just use in them kind of interchangeably, which I think is generally speaking fine, but I like the fact that there is a distinction to be made between ethics and morals. And I think it's a good distinction. So generally speaking, I think in a litigious sense or a judicial sense or whatever, like morals would have to do with something that's internally motivated, right? Versus ethics having to do with a thing that's like externally imposed. So ethically, you wouldn't drive over the speed limit because you're going to get pulled over and put in jail or something like that, right? Well, maybe not put in jail, but you get the point. Morally, you would want to drive safely, right? Because, you want to chase that good. You want not to hurt people because it's a good thing. So it feels like innately one of the weaknesses of ethical people as opposed to moral people is that they're only as good as their enforcement mechanism, right? They're only as good as the authority that enforces and makes the rules for them. So, like, the idea would be that if you put them on an island where there is no enforcement mechanism, like their entire system would break down, whereas a moral person would be moral no matter where in reality they found themselves. It's a much more stable form of morality. If that makes sense because it's internally motivated. And not only that, it's also motivated by a sense for the good, by striving for both one's own good and other people's good. So it feels like it just generally speaking, it's a much better thing. Now that's I guess there's an element where I think both are perhaps necessary, but again, I think morals are maybe superior to ethics as an idea. Anyways, hopefully that didn't sound like commie gobbledygook or some stuff. Um, all right, we have some videos to watch today. One of Abba and Preach, where Abba is disparaging Christianity, so that'll be fun, right? And then another of, I think Sam does art, if I'm not mistaken. All right, let's get this going. Hmm. And for the record, I think we will react to this full video. It's about Christianity, so our honor is on the line. I'll try to transform it. Welcome to another episode of Magnifico tells some black guys about history. That sounds edgy though, so I'm gonna make that the thumbnail. Okay.
You already know my debacle with church. I'm not a fan of church. I don't go to church anymore for obvious reason. It's all
Dinner.
fake. But more.
Okay. There's an element where I believe Christianity is true, but I also think what he's talking about can be a lot of people's experience with church. Like if the churches you go to are like hyper dogmatic, if they're hyper like no, we're not going to discuss this. No, we're not going to entertain questions about the Bible or historical figures that we hold dear and near to our hearts. If they're willing to cover up stuff because for the sake of the witness of the church and the sake of the gospel, like I get the notion that a lot of people come at the church as like that can literally be their experience, that the church is fake. And I hope like that has not been my experience. I think in a broader sense that is not true. But yeah, I can understand how someone would feel that, like depending on their own experience there.
So. Okay, well, no, I have to say one thing. Do you just enjoy antagonizing Christians?
Yes. So Baptists from Africa, Baptists from Jamaica, Baptists from Haiti are not gonna look. They're gonna be like, "You sing like that, like that. What's that gibberish you talking about?" It's weird. Because you have to remember that black people hate everything about slavery except religion, right? So
I think that's an oversimplification. And again, I guess history is complex, but slavery was a two-sided mechanism. There were almost no raids into Africa. That was a full-on thing. The reason they didn't imperialize Africa immediately is because they would die very quickly. I think it was yellow fever or something, and it wasn't until later that quinine was developed that they actually went into Africa and imperialized stuff like that. Most times they literally just bought the slaves directly from the people. And there'll be some people who say, "Oh, they didn't really understand." Like, I don't know if that's the case. I feel like that's a very charitable interpretation. Here's the truth, hot take. I think it's a matter of not being racist. That I think if black people or any other indigenous group were in the position that Europeans were, they would have done the exact same thing. They would have done the exact same thing. All else being equal, if they were put in the same position with the same power, they would have abused it to the same extent. No more, no less. Right? They're not uniquely bad. They're not uniquely good. They're the same, right? Because I'm not racist, I think they're the same, and they would have done the same stuff that white people and Christians did.
They're really gonna look at each other. Damn. No. Yo.
But also, with regards to the notion of Christianity being like, I don't know if Christian. There's an element to be had where I don't think Christianity is necessarily responsible for any of this stuff. Did people use it? Did people twist it to their own purposes? Yeah. You do realize, though, the person who came, I believe Herbert Spencer, the person who came up with social Darwinism, kind of the basis for a lot of racism, like race realism, and probably to some extent Nazism, was not actually Christian, although his views on Christianity were they were kind of strange. You can look this up. I think it was some sort of weird blend where he wanted to mix science and religion and reconcile the two or something like that, which I suppose is, noble in its own way. But I don't. You can even find like letters, I think, from Hitler and things like that that seem to indicate that Christianity was not well suited to his purposes. And the truth is, people can find all sorts of reasons for being racist or, disparaging other cultures or whatever. I'm sure there are many secular cultures or communist people who really don't like other cultures and are quite racist. So I don't think Christianity is uniquely bad. The truth is, I think historically people do bad stuff and they find reasons to justify doing bad stuff. Was that the case with Christianity and slavery? Yeah, probably was. I think the idea would be actually that the unique breed of slavery that happened in America, that it was actually one race that was being exclusively almost dehumanized. Well, I guess the Indians kind of had that happen to them too, but they were kind of relegated to a level of subhuman, was because they had to find some way of taking them out of the category of humanity, because it wasn't okay to do those things to humans, right? It wasn't okay to enslave humans, so they had to create a subhuman category within their culture that made it okay to, we can enslave these people because they're not like, they're only partly human. Not good, but
You know what? You know what? You know
No,
what?
that was
You know,
not-
no,
wait,
no,
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 hey,
you know what?
chat.
I'm
Let me know if that
I'm not
was
saying
not a
you
bar.
tripping. Okay, can we just take 2 seconds? Because you did it last show too. I remember I told you last show, I'm like, if we're not gonna unpack it, don't bring it up. But if we're not gonna open that can of worms, why'd you pop the lid on it?
Hey, listen.
It's gonna spoil. And you brought it up again, which is okay. So let's unpack it.
Who can unpack it? Let's go, bro.
like,
Yeah, no
for the
problem.
record, I will admit the first time I watched this, I was a little bit ticked off. I think I'm hopefully a little bit more calm now.
Okay, you can't throw a bomb and run.
Yes, that's how, you can't throw a bomb and stay there. It defeats- hey,
I actually kind of disagree with that. There's this element of, if you're going to raise some sort of claim or aspersion or whatever against blank, there's this element of, okay, unless you can bring to some sort of conclusive end, why make the claim, right? Why raise the claim if all it's going to do is piss people off and you can't, bring it to any sort of successful or peaceful resolution, right?
You know what? Hey, defeats the purpose of throwing the ball.
Wait.
What am I gonna do?
You're right. Yo, mute my mic. Mute my mic so I can shut the fuck up.
Am I gonna throw the bomb and stay there?
Yeah, you're right.
Who throws a grenade like this?
Why do you hate Jesus? You brought it up a bunch of times. We never talked about it, so I feel like today's your chance. A lot of
Here's a
Christians.
question. Why is there like a... It's kind of cool, I guess. It's kind of modern arty, which makes me not want to like it, but actually it's kind of nice. But there's a portrait in the back. Maybe it was made by a fan or something. That's kind of...
I want to hear from you.
You start to ask yourself questions when you grow up in that environment. You start to ask yourself your questions, and some things are just not making any more sense.
College atheist. It does feel like there is almost like a stereotypical type of, oh, I went to college and then I read Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris and stuff like that, and now I know stuff.
You know what I mean? You try to analyze some things and it doesn't click. It doesn't make sense to you. Neil Tyson deGrasse said the best.
Neil deGrasse.
It's not for me. I have to shout him out because he said something that embodies what I think about church and Christianity. He said, do you believe in God since you're a man of science? And he said, well,
if there is a God, God is either not all powerful or not all good.
And
I don't think he came up with that. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he got that's something that's older. Maybe it is him. I don't know. I think that's kind of like has to do with the original, like, what was it? There's some paradox or something. Epicurean paradox, yeah. That's a lot older than Neil deGrasse Tyson, though. I don't think but yeah, that's how we heard it from, so probably. No, for the record, actually, I think what he says there is functionally true, but actually wrong. I had mentioned this in a video I'd done previously here, actually. I had made a video on this previously where it feels like apparent from watching the Bible that God is hampered in some regards with his own nature a little bit, right? Like it's not like he can't do these things. Like he's not constricted by some external force. There's nothing greater than God forcing him to behave a certain way, but he does behave a certain way. I used, I think, the example of our own salvation, right? So God is placed in kind of a tight spot where he creates a creature who he loves, right? But that creature violates his own law. So God is just. He has a strong sense of justice. He can't just forgive us, but he also is merciful and loving, so he can't just kill us. I had mentioned that too. He smited quite a few people, but he has to find a workaround to forgive us without violating either his sense of love, to resolve that issue rather, because technically it could have been resolved a number of ways. But he wants to forgive us, so he has to find a way around his sense of justice, right? That makes sense. Like he has to find a way to resolve this situation. So again, what he says is functionally true. That it's clear that some part of God is more maybe a force of nature, and that in some regards God is hampered. So again, it's functionally true, but actually false. Like God is limited by his own nature. He's not limited by something external. So he's like, it's a little bit dubious as like to what you would say, but I don't think that's particularly controversial. It seems evident from reading the Bible that God can't just do anything. Can't might be the wrong word. God won't just do anything, if you will.
From the information that I have from church, these two things do not coexist.
Like believing that he's not these two things?
He's not these two things at the same time. And I have no evidence that he's these two things at the same time. If he's all good, then he's not all powerful. If he's all good, then he wouldn't let happen a lot of things that are happening right now. And if he's all...
There's an element to the notion of, I think from a purely utilitarian standpoint, you tend to get very interesting notions of what good entails, and that any good God wouldn't allow blank to happen per se. Like they wouldn't allow, you know, pain or displeasure because these things are definitely bad. I don't know if I would agree. Like I think anyone who works out kind of gets the notion that, you know, pain is not always entirely bad, right? There would be the idea of gratuitous pain or gratuitous suffering that comes into that as well. But again, like who's to say what's gratuitous? I guess. I don't know.
All powerful. That means that he has the power to change all the things that are wrong, but he's not good enough to change them. Stuff like that. Stuff that are written in the Old Testament, stuff that are written in the New Testament. And I'm just like, I don't identify with it anymore. And it's cool with other people.
Again, I think it's functionally true, but actually wrong. What do you say? To some extent.
That's one of the things.
And again, like it is no, never mind.
It's cool if other people are with it, but then I have another weird feeling as well when people from the Caribbean are the most religious people, and that religion was imposed to them by their masters. So, and I have an issue with that.
You talking about
I don't know, unless there was like a you do this or else. I don't necessarily, well, I guess obviously the slavery wouldn't have been exactly the prime. I do think there is such a thing as like predatory evangelism. And maybe I'm unique in that regards. I think some people would think there's never any bad way to do it. I think there is a bad way to do evangelism. And obviously, like a master-slave relationship is maybe not ideal for that type of thing. But I also think like the notion of like religions evangelizing, it's just a thing that people do. And if it supplants the indigenous culture slash religion slash history, well, that is kind of a price of playing the game a little bit. All religions would do that if they, well, you know, I think most religions would try to expand. Most of them do. I think Judaism is perhaps a notable exception to that. We should look up sometime. Anyways.
I was introduced to black folks.
Yeah, I was introduced to Caribbean people. Like how I wasn't introduced to certain parts of Africa, not all the parts of Africa. I'm not talking about the Orthodox.
You're not talking about Ethiopians.
No, I'm not talking about them because I
shit.
believe that they're the original one.
There is, for the record, there is actually some really weird stuff in Africa, like almost like bizarre offshoots of Christianity. It's, if I remember correctly, there is some like really strange types of strains of Christianity that went into or that developed or went into Africa. I don't know. Maybe it was the result of the people that actually went to missionary or to evangelize there doing a bad job of it, or you know, not doing a thorough like education of the scriptures. But man, yeah, I've gotten the idea there's some strange stuff going on. Some of those sects.
Emmanuel I Selassie Rastafari. Anyways,
we've been
that's
having
just
Christianity.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is that it feels weird the way it was introduced because it was introduced as a tool, right? And what the Caribbean are using is the Bible of the King James. You know,
Am I blocking his head? Hopefully not. To be fair, I like Preach is the one doing most of the talking, so yeah.
the guy that killed his own mother. Fucking weird. More than that is that it was introduced to subdue us and to break us. They removed our roots and they removed our beliefs and they proposed that.
Again, that's kind of what evangelism is. Now, for the record, there are certainly elements, I think, of, you know, indigenous culture that would have been benign. But I think, like, again, that like religions vie for supremacy. Let me rewind this. I think there was maybe missing some stuff in there.
It feels weird the way it was introduced because it was introduced as a tool, right? And what the Caribbean are using is the Bible of the King James. The guy that killed.
Yeah, this is what I was actually going to remark. It is kind of strange, I think, in my mind that like a lot of people do place a lot of like for the record, growing up, that would have been the only version I used. But it does seem kind of strange that like kind of almost a state-sponsored version of the Bible is like the one that a lot of people will go proverbial to the wall to. For they will go to the wall for. Like, no, this is the only one. Because like if Trump came out with like a edition of the Bible, I don't think I'd be inclined to trust it that much. But I guess I don't know exactly what the origins of the King James version were. But again, the fact that it was a state-sponsored endeavor, maybe not great. Again, I don't know exactly what the thing is, but the fact that someone tacked their name onto it, like an actual king said, "Hey, this is my version." I don't know. Maybe it was just the times that they were in, rather than him saying, "No, this is my version." But that's another thing we should look up. It just feels like on principle, it's a little bit weird that we're so stuck on that version.
His own mother. Fucking weird. More than
Sorry,
that is
again.
that it was introduced to subdue us and to break us. They removed our roots and they removed our beliefs and they proposed that.
Again, like, Christianity is not unique in that regards. I feel like again, this is an oversimplification of history. A lot of people found a lot of reasons to do a lot of bad stuff, and I'm sure the enlightened communists have done stuff that's probably equally bad or worse, and used their communism, used their secularism or atheism or whatever to justify doing it. For the record, I think at one point in time, the notion of like polygenesis was very popular among atheist people, and the Nazis, for the record, they came up with a lot of scientific studies that justified them being, jackasses to different races, right? They need to come up with like secular ideas of it. But there's actually also another interesting notion that like I think they found Christianity so problematic for their purposes that they were coming up with like a Nazi Bible, which kind of like retconned Jesus' origin and like de-Judaized the Bible, I guess. Makes sense. That's also kind of an interesting facet of history. He looks kind of bored. Yeah. I should get myself off the screen so you can see Abba's bored face. We'll minimize this a little bit more. There you go. You can see him. You can see him a little bit more here. Huzzah!
Just to be able to be more docile. So to
And what did
me,
they say about your roots and your beliefs?
what do you mean?
What did they say about them?
Well, it was demonic. It was not good. It was
Again, evangelism. That's what we call evangelism. I'm pretty sure there would have been plenty of polytheists that would have said probably similar bad things about Christianity. We only think of it now because Christianity has largely been ascendant. There's like not a lot of polytheists around. There's not a lot of other contending religions around. But I guess at least Islamic defenders can get quite feisty about Christianity. I think there's one guy that was saying that Jesus was the first transgender or something. Sorry, that's good. Yeah. Again, I think that's kind of the name of the game with regards to. Well, it shouldn't be the way it is. Perhaps I think people should be maybe a little bit more delicate sometimes. But for the record, with regards to worshiping demons, I don't even necessarily disagree with that. Now, if it comes to the thing of destroying someone's benign, like more benign aspects of their culture or history, I don't think that's good. But if it's regards to religion, I would say, yeah, anything kind of like it's religion. Again, name of the game, price of playing.
evil.
Witchcraft.
Witchcraft, which is not a reality, which is not the reality of the thing. And
that would maybe need some sources. Actually, after this, we might actually go into that, like African indigenous religions. That would be something I could search up, probably.
And so when I see Caribbean people being very religious, to me, it's just like every night going to sleep and kissing goodnight the picture of your rapist. I know the image is crazy, but that's the feeling
Oversimplified again.
that I got. If I've seen someone do that, that's what I feel. That's visceral. I'm like, oh my God. Everybody in the world that are religious, they worship someone that look like them. You look like the Hindus, they look like them. The Buddhists, they look like them. The Muslims, they look like them. But people from the Caribbean, it's white. And you can even say, oh no, but it's my God is black, my Jesus is black. But your Bible is from was from the people that own you, and that's
No, actually, categorically, no. The Bible is from the Middle East. Jesus was probably, Mediterranean-esque, if you will. Right? The origins of it are Judeo-Christian. The origins of it have very little to do with. They did not originate in European culture. In fact, at that point in time, Europeans would have been the barbarians. I'm pretty sure that that's literally where the term would have originated, where the Romans were going into the Goths and the Visigoths and conquering them. That's where the term barbarian would have originated. Like the people in Europe, the white people, would not have been the civilized ones at that point in time. Like it's largely maybe forgotten today that that's the case, but no, Christianity, Judeo-Christianity, originated in the Middle East. Okay, so that's for the record. Actually, the picture I think of Jesus was one they had found. Like you'd have to look this up, but I think it's one they had found of some pagan god that they had discovered when they were going into Europe. I think in order to I don't know if it's in order to get them to accept Christianity or something, they took a picture of one of their gods, and that's what we think of as like Jesus portrait or whatever. Actually, I don't think it's necessarily at all true to life.
I'll say in Ethiopia we got a black Jesus. I know because every time I go into a church, it's all black.
Jesus was not black. He wasn't white, but he wasn't.
These people are not.
Oh, he looked like he got a forehead.
Yes, and I've seen that Jesus, and
I do personally like that. I think like the that's a personal thing. But
yes, but that's not the because there's an Ethiopian Bible as well. Because the Bible that we have in the Caribbean that we're using, the King James Bible, I believe has 66 books, and the Ethiopian one has 88. So it was modeled.
I told you there's some weird stuff that happens in Africa. Guess I don't know. Maybe that's just like the apocryphal works or something that they include in that.
And compressed and it's not the real thing. So I'm like, manipulation. Let me just get out of that because that's not me. So that's the reason why I'm just like, man, I'm uncomfortable whenever I see that. There's some part of churches I appreciate because I feel like the praise. No, that's our sauce. That's our spice. We did that. We did that. And that's I appreciate. But other than that, everything that is said in there, the scriptures, the vibe, the hypocrisy, I can't deal with that.
I'm too white for Pentecostalism, for the record. No, I do not like expressing myself, so that's not my cup of tea, but I can appreciate it, I suppose, as a genre of Christianity.
So I got out of there, and that is why. So no hate to you, but I'm gonna remind you every time, and I'm gonna be petty about it. And I love when people say you're wrong, and then they just say you're wrong.
Hey, listen, explain yourself. I'm sure.
There's an element like, for the record, I have been going pretty hard on preach here too, but like there's an element in the notion a person can. The means by which a person knows a thing is not necessarily the means by which they can communicate that thing to another person. Right? I don't think he would consider himself a debater. I don't even know if I would consider myself a debater. But a person can know a thing and be perfectly valid in their beliefs and yet not be capable of convincing another person of those beliefs to some extent, right? It's not exactly the same skill set, right? And I think trying to convince another person, the means by which you can convince another person, it's a more circumscribed type of thing. Anyways, that's that. You can go look it up if you want. Why Preach Left Christianity Forever. So, have fun with that if you like. We'll call that good. All right, video by Sam Does Art. I found the biggest scam in the art world. Huzzah! Good on you.
What's up guys, so recently I made a video talking about the potential AI scams that were happening at art conventions and just warning people to be careful where they're spending their money. Now if you go looking for that video on my channel,
It's like the new NFTs. Well, technically, I don't know if NFTs were necessarily made by AI. Sometimes they would have been actually designed. But the whole premise of NFTs is kind of, I don't know, it's stupid, seemingly, in my mind. But whatever floats your boat, I suppose.
now you're not going to find it because unfortunately James C. Mulligan Jimmy here has decided to file a wrongful copyright claim against my video and added a copyright strike to my channel. Now for those who are not familiar, Jimmy is a self-proclaimed Disney legend. He has done some work for Disney in the past and has since then really attached himself to the brand. But recently a lot of allegations have come out against James C. Mulligan and his potential use of Gen AI in his work as well as deceiving his customers at conventions. It was also noted by a lot of people online that he seemed to have plagiarized a lot of his paintings. When this copyright strike first hit my channel, I thought this must have been a mistake because every single image that I used here falls under fair use. Now I might be mistaken here, but I'm pretty sure Disney Lorcana
That you never could. That's kind of sucky. I've
flounder
heard that actually YouTube's like kind of copyright system is a little bit broken, and it would maybe be broken in favor of people who are making the claims or whatever. So there can be a lot of like frivolous stuff going on. That's something they should get on.
Ariel and Rapunzel
Disney Lorcana.
belong to Disney and not James C. Mulligan. And to further prove this was done in bad faith, James has claimed the content was found in the entire video, when in reality the total time that all of those images are actually on screen adds up to less than 50 seconds. I counted. Now, I was going to let this one slide because
No tyranny like a petty tyranny, right?
I'm a man of peace, you know, and we all get emotional sometimes. Understand it. I get it, Jimmy. But then I found out that he's been going around and doing the same thing to other YouTubers and striking other people's channels talking about this issue. Jimmy here appears to be on a campaign to take down all sorts of content that even remotely mention him using false copyright claims. This is just straight up bad practice. Inkwell, who made the very first video on this subject and whose video I cited in my last video, also got the same copyright claim. Now Jimmy here has also sent cease and desist letters to both Inkwell as well as the original kid who called him out on X.
He sounds kind of like a shyster. That's like defamation, harassment, false claims regarding artwork. A professional artist whose livelihood and reputation depends upon the integrity and originality of his created work. A formal demand. It sounds like, you know, there's some element where I'm sure legal speak is necessary, but I also kind of hate it as well. It's kind of, it forms the function of making really evil people seem not as evil somehow. Again, I need to. Where's the best place to put this thing? So like, I guess it would maybe depend on the video itself. So I should watch through these things sometimes and keep an eye out for that. Might be something I get better at, just making sure my box isn't over anyone's head.
With this post saying his wife is now threatening me legally. Fortunately, I've not had the honor to receive a cease and desist letter from him yet, but I don't know, maybe I did. I just don't check my emails. Clearly in this scenario, Jimmy has
out of sight, out of mind. Nice.
very bad legal standing, and there is absolutely nothing that he could sue us for. This is unfortunately a pressure tactic that might actually work on smaller artists who are afraid of potential legal fees and involvement.
Well, I guess I don't know what this other dude's like financial like state is, because that's another nasty thing about the legal system is that like if you have a lot of money, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, unless there's some sort of like anti-slap thing in place. It feels like it's kind of in favor of anyone who has money. They can just wring everything out of someone who doesn't have money. It's like super annoying / broken / evil /
involvements, and even of just James's self-proclaimed standing in the industry. Now, so far, this whole AI allegation against him seems more like a he said, she said type of deal because we cannot definitively prove that somebody actually used AI in their work. We can only have our suspicions. And just for the record, even if Jimmy did use AI, I don't have a problem with him using
This thing, I actually wonder like what predictive AI. Well, not like I'm saying, like I wonder like what it actually would be that they look for with regards to like like testing whether or not something is AI.
Using AI, but I have a problem with him trying to sell it as something that he made himself. But again, that's not the point of this video because there is no definitive proof. What there is a lot of proof for, however, Jimmy, is blatant plagiarism. It is my personal belief
Yeah,
that this guy
the plot thickens. He he looks like an alleged plagiarist. Okay, look at him. He's even got the vampire teeth going on. For the record, I think I have those. Like the corner there looks like a canine.
is just a very shady
Stab
character
it.
who has been grifting the
Yep.
art community for a long time. And I'm
Probably not the best pictures, but yeah, he totally looks like he would do that. That stuff.
surprised nobody has caught on until now, but here's a post on James C. Mulligan.
Now, there's actually a whole genre of study that has to do with, well, I think it's kind of pseudo-scientific stuff where you're studying people's bone structures um, to conclude characteristics or something off of that. I forgot what the word for it is though.
By Gawky on Blue Sky Social. James C. Mulligan is going after videos and people who call him out for selling AI images. He's using copyright as an excuse to get them removed. So this is the first piece of evidence where he took a Bambi background, official background, and put it into his art. Now you can see the background versus the art, and there's going to be a layover here just like that. That's the background overlaid on top of the art, and it is a...
It feels like it's just lazy. Right? Like I don't know, like it'd be like very, well, I guess I don't know, very easy, but it feels like it'd be quite easy, even to just change something a little bit about it that would make it, unrecognizable or at least somewhat original. So the notion that like you can't just, change where the log is or something. I don't know.
one for
I guess no one ever accused like criminals of having or alleged criminals, alleged plagiarists of having a great work ethic. And that's kind of the reason they're plagiarists, I suppose.
one. And that's not even the worst part. So apparently the characters here are also traced. There's the original, and there's an overlay with James's version of these characters. The pose is a 1-for-1. Now, I'm sure many of you guys know this, but it doesn't matter how skilled you are as an artist. If you reference something, there's going to be differences between that thing and your drawing. It's never going to line up 1-for-1. So this being lined up perfectly is very suspicious. Going to start off that even if the final piece doesn't look like the original, he definitely starts off with the original. This is a post where he showed his process. The sketch is exact to the original, but the final is just a bit different. So if we take a look at that here, that is Jimmy's sketch, and that is the original reference that was used. Look at that. Again, a 1-to-1 copy. Oh my goodness. Look at that. I thought maybe he actually made this 2014 one himself for a while, but the original is Steve Thompson's from 2013. So that is quite clearly a 1-to-1 copy in terms of the composition, the characters.
It's something I never would have really thought of, like that type of, you would never get that same proportions or, dimensions and whatnot.
The pose, his work from 2014 is not even a millimeter off from Steve Thompson's from 2013. Here's another one. Couldn't come up with a single original pose here except for maybe 3 characters out of 18 as OP overlays the original characters and drawings over James C. Mulligan's drawing. All of these characters that are in this image have a near identical, well, it's not near, sorry, basically perfectly identical overlay of that character in a different form, done by a different artist. I mean, this is absolutely insane and it's just so very blatant. Even the portrait itself of Walt Disney. Here's everything all together compiled, and watch when it's turned off and on. Everything lines up perfectly. This piece he's been selling forever is just an inspired art
It's an homage. No, I don't.
germ copy, and honestly I cannot tell a difference between the proportions, the shape language here. He literally colored insane.
Too excitable.
That's as close as you could possibly get. If it's a collage, then tracing most of it is okay, right? I mean, goodness gracious.
Collage. I mean, now I need to look up collage. I was saying homage. Maybe that's a different thing. Collage. Sounds French. a work of art made by layering and gluing various materials like paper, photographs, or fabrics onto a surface. Interesting. So yeah.
More from coloring book pages, and even a scene directly from the movie when the characters bump elbows, but they're bumping air here. So here's an overlay placed on the drawing of James C. Mulligan. That's a still from the movie. And again, this overlaid over James C. Mulligan's drawing is a one-to-one. That is absolutely...
In Minneapolis, your voice matters.
On the other side.
Participate in our anonymous
insane.
I think this is what you would call like the definition of minimum effort here. Yeah, you can see his arms. Interesting.
Now, a lot of people thought this piece was actually AI because of the way he spelled space adventure, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to give James credit here. He actually drew this himself. He just copied it from a plastic toy. It's a one-to-one. Look at that. Even his originals might not be original in reference to his more traditional drawings. Milt drew a couple versions, with one being a perfect match.
But he added color.
At the way that lines up. I mean, this...
he took away color, I guess. Well, no, I guess he would have added maybe some of his own color. So, yeah. Hey. It's kind of one of those draw by numbers things a little bit.
Evidence is about as damning as you can get. He also copied Gregory Manches's amazing painting here. Now, this is the James C. Mulligan version, and that is Gregory's original. Now, if you take some of these characters and just overlay them on top of James's characters, oh my goodness, look at the way the poses match up. That is identical.
So,
and
like,
there's even more where that came from. If you just go on Reddit...
Again, at least he did the background. He had a hat. What else is... I'm assuming this is his. Hand might be I guess I don't know if that's attached to it or if that's something in the background too. That is strange. Yeah, it seems like an exact face is a little bit different. Face is a little bit different, but everything else is pretty much the same-ish.
You'll find that James actually copied another Lorcana artist. The left one was done by Brianna Garcia and was posted to her account in 2017.
Maybe it's just random. Maybe he's just happening to find the exact same pose with the exact same design with the exact same...
James posted the one on the right in 20.
Like even the hair is... Even the hair, even this, that is uncanny resemblance there.
19. Here's another example of James C. Mulligan drawing characters over a direct still taken from the movie and selling it as his own work at art conventions. And when I was doing a deep dive background on Jimmy James C. Mulligan here, I found this one interview that I found particularly interesting. The interviewer asks, what is an artist's role in society and how do you see that evolving? To which Jimmy James C. Mulligan responds, I've heard people say that an artist's job is to tell the truth. I disagree. I think an artist's job is to lie to us in a way that we want to be lied to. We want to believe that Mary Poppins can fly. We want to believe that Monet's Lily...
Okay, that's an own goal. And maybe a little bit of a confession. All right. You guys can check that out if you want. Yeah. The guy seems like a prize-winning jackass. Look it up if you want. Not Sam Does Art, the guy he's talking about. But yeah, I found the biggest scam in the art world by Sam Does Art. All right, let's do a search of some African religions. African indigenous. All right, African traditional religions. All right, here we go. 1 and 2, and away we go. Blah, 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 includes various ethnic religion. I think a lot of it maybe would have involved ancestor worship. are oral rather than scriptural and are passed down from one generation to the other through narratives, songs, myths, festivals. They include beliefs in spirits and higher and lower gods, sometimes including a supreme being, as well as a veneration of the dead, use of magic, and traditional African medicine. Most religions can be described as animistic, with various polytheistic and pantheistic aspects. The role of humanity is generally seen as one harmonizing nature with the supernatural. All right. Are distributed among 43 countries, are estimated to number over 100 million. Largely displaced indigenous African religions are often adapted to African cultural context and belief systems. So they would kind of adapt Christianity as their own type of thing. With the traditional beliefs with the practice of Abrahamic religions, these two Abrahamic religions are widespread across Africa, though most concentrated in different regions. Especially Abrahamic religious beliefs, especially monotheistic elements such as a belief in a single creator God, were introduced into traditionally polytheistic African religions. Rather early West African religions seek to come to terms with reality, and unlike Abrahamic religions, are not idealizations. They generally seek to explain the reality of a personal experience by spiritual forces which underpin ordinary group life, contrast those that threaten it. Followers of traditional African religions are also found around the world. In recent times, religions such as Yoruba religion and the Odinala religion, traditional Igbo religion, Gabawism, on the rise. Highly complex animistic beliefs build the core concept of traditional African religions. These include the worship of a tutelary, whose guardian, patron, or protector of a particular place, geographic lineage, nation, culture, occupation, of safety, and thus of guardianship. Oh, goodness. All right. Nature worship, ancestor worship, and the belief in an afterlife comparable to other traditional religions around the world. While some religions have pantheistic worldview, and with a supreme creator god next to other gods and spirits, others follow a purely polytheistic system with various gods and spirits and other supernatural beings. Traditional African religions also have elements of totemism, shamanism, and venerations of relics. Traditional African religions, like most of the traditional traditions around the world, were based on oral traditions. These traditions are not religious principles, but a cultural identity. Were based on oral traditions. These traditions were not religious principles, but a cultural identity that passed through the stories, myths, and tales from one generation to another. I don't know how you could say that's not really a religion if it does, like if they believe it and it does have spiritual ramifications. The community, one's family, and the environment play an important role in one's personal life. Followers believe in a guardian of their ancestor spirits. Again, that seems quite spiritual / religious / whatever. Among many traditional African religions, there are spiritual leaders and kinds of priests. These individuals are essential in spiritual and religious survival of the community. There are mystics that are responsible for healing and divining, a kind of fortune telling and counseling, similar to shamans. These traditional healers have been called by the ancestors or gods. These traditional healers have to be called by ancestors or gods. They undergo strict training and learn many necessary skills, including how to use natural herbs and healings and other more mystical skills, like finding of a hidden object without knowing where it is. Traditional African religions believe that ancestors maintain spiritual connection with their living relatives. Most ancestral spirits are generally good and kind. Negative actions taken by ancestral spirits are to cause minor illnesses to warn people that they have gotten on to the wrong path. Like I said, Native African religions are centered on ancestor worship. I kind of thought that was the case, mostly because Black Panther. But yeah, I think I would have gotten the idea that ancestor worship was involved. Maybe there would have been other factors involved. I don't know. The belief in a spirit world, supernatural beings, and/or free will, unlike the latter developed concept of faith, deceased humans and animals, or I don't know if the idea of faith is necessarily antithetical to the rest of this. Deceased humans and animals or important objects still exist in the spirit world and can influence or interact with the physical world. Forms of polytheism were widespread in most of ancient Africa, with other regions in the world before the introduction of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. With an exception was the short-lived monotheistic religion called by Pharaoh's created by Pharaoh Akhenaten, which made it mandatory to pray to his personal god. It seems like it's just some dude saying, "Hey, no, my god is the only one that exists," or something. Yeah, I guess I don't know. To be fair, that's kind of what Christianity did, but I guess the imperative point there is that it's actually true. If it's not true, then you just ended up with a. Anyways, this remarkable change in tradition of the Egyptian religion was, however, reverted by his youngest son, Tutankhamun. High gods, along with other more specialized deities, ancestral spirits, or territorial spirits, beings are a common theme among traditional African religions, highlighting the complex and advanced culture of ancient Africa. Advanced in some ways, I guess, maybe, I don't know. Some research suggests that certain monotheistic concepts, such as belief in a high god or force, next to many other gods, deities, spirits, and sometimes seen as intermediaries between humans and the creator, were present within Africa. Before the introduction of Abrahamic religions, these indigenous concepts were different from among monotheism found in Abrahamic religions. Traditional African medicine was also linked directly to African religions, according to Clement E. Ventres. The various religions of Africa are united by the basic animism. According to him, the belief in spirits and in ancestors is the most important elements of African religions. Gods were either self-created or evolved from spirits or ancestors which got worshipped by the people. He also notes that most modern African folk religions were strongly influenced by non-African religions, mostly Christianity and Islam, thus the most modern African folk religions. Okay, so the religions that exist today were not necessarily the religions of historical Africa. From ancient forms. Traditional African religions generally hold a belief of life after death, a spirit world or realm in which spirits, but also gods reside, with some having a concept of reincarnation, which in deceased humans may reincarnate into their family lineage. Traditional family religions generally hold. Sorry, I have to go over this again. My mind was wandering. Hold the beliefs of life after death as spirit world or realms in which spirits, but also gods, reside, with some also having the concept of reincarnation, in which deceased humans may reincarnate into their family lineage, blood lineage, if they want to or have something to fulfill. The Sarah concept of reincarnation rejects the notion of incarnation or reincarnation of the supreme deity or creator Ru. However, the reincarnation of the Pangul or souls is well held belief in Serere spirituality. All right, interesting stuff. You can go check out the rest of that if you want to. All right, we're gonna try and play some games here. Evil Genius 2, namely. I'm gonna have to directly open this up. Or I could get it so it goes into the stream engine. Alright. Never mind, we're good. We're good. It was actually some new game I was seeing out at the Xbox game shows. It was like Zoo Punk. Kind of an interesting looking game. There.
If a minion's vitality gets too low, they will go to the closest infirmary to attempt to heal. If their vitality reaches 0, then it might be time to hire a new minion.
I don't even know if you can really do that in a... Did my research get to the point where I can mine that other type of rock? There we go. Oh, nice, we did. Alright, capacitors. Yes, I understand that. Now go away. Alright. You go away.
Side story complete.
Well done. Your horde of guards will be the first line of defense and help to keep the riffraff out. Collect the completed side story to continue your world domination.
So I already researched that one. Alright. I think I need more money.
Now this is more like it. Tell me, what do you bench press?
The universe!
The biggest one!
Right. Okay, not quite what I expected. How many bullet wounds would it take to kill you?
The biggest one.
Are you okay? Wait, I don't want to know.
One down, 2 to go. Select a new minion side story from the objectives.
You! Are you responsible for the state of this room? Is that computer supposed to be giving off sparks?
Yes, boss. That's how we know it's turned on.
It looks broken to me.
It's
Don't you repair these things?
No, it's a perk, not a bug. What? That's not the word. What is the phrase? It's not a bug, it's a feature.
We try, but it hurts. The sparks, you see.
I can't rule the world from a ramshackle lair with hunk-of-junk equipment. Kidnap a specialist, interrogate them.
Many objectives require you to send different types of minions to run special schemes. Let's go to the world stage to get started. One of the highlighted schemes is near one of your criminal networks. You can send minions to complete the scheme now, or you can search the globe for an alternative.
Let's go with the Brazilian one.
New optional objective available.
Oh, okay. Well, so I need more power. All right. Let's see what we can do here. Yoink. Be our guest, be our guest. Does service to the taste. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe for right now, let's just sell a couple of these things. That'll put us back in the green. Okay. Okay. Still not. Alright. Come on, power. How much does this thing take? I don't know, I'm pretty far below quota. This is gonna take some doing. Alright. You know what? Let's do some rearranging here, actually. So, control room. What? The Harry? Oh, let's just make more bigger power room somewhere here. Alright. Here we'll do fine for now. Alright. With that. Come on. Get headed. They're pansies. I was almost sure I like so research-wise.
Research has begun.
This thing's built already. Alright, now the vault will be able to be expanded. I still want to fiddle with this power room over here. Get the control room back in here. Come on. Time to get stuff done.
New optional objective available.
Finally. Thank you. Going. Put something in the vault. Wouldn't want all my gold to melt now, would I? I think I could, like, get this to be a little bit shorter. Let's try to speed up this research thing as well.
Salaries paid.
Velocity das. I am the Lord that now. Sorry. It's like a God view though. I don't know if that's exactly how God views stuff. Never know. Probably has better resolution. But this,
A scheme has
go back in
succeeded.
here if I can.
Your minions have kidnapped a specialist. Once they're in a holding cell, you can choose to interrogate them.
What? Oh, was the dude on break? Get back to your work, jackass.
At last, something worthy of my time is money.
Time is money.
Schnell!
Schnell, zum Fenster, raus. That is from Hogan's Heroes, man.
We've got a new prisoner.
Select the holding cell and then select escort prisoner. After that, select the interrogation device. For now, that's the interrogation chair.
You see the gruesome realities of torture. Yeah, Patriot now.
An intruder has given us their secrets.
It's a bit comical.
Interrogation has revealed to us how to build new training furniture. Build the new item in your training room.
It feels like that wouldn't be something you'd really have to like worry about interrogating someone for. I think if I had the secrets to building a trainer for something, then that would take them to the grave. Nope, not gonna work. There we go. Come on, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up.
New optional objective available.
Is that so?
New main objective available.
Head to the minion training screen to request some advanced minions. Request the amount of this specialist you want in your lair. Your minions will always try to keep to this number. Your workers will start to train automatically. They'll learn faster if another minion is able to teach them.
Come on, hurry up. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Alright, now, okay. Nope. Okay. Also can't do that. Almost to the point when I can. Oh, here we go.
Main objective available.
Things always have a tendency to explode, and this leads to fire. Having fire extinguishers nearby is never a bad thing.
Alright, everyone has their own poutine recipe, so if we can start a war over who's best, that should leave a polite curveball. Nice. Never a wrong time to get one over on the Canadians.
A new tier of research has been unlocked.
Yes! Alright. Somehow I already did that one. Or maybe I can't do it yet? It says node research, yeah, so that's alright, we're good. Doors are probably a bad
Research has
idea.
begun.
Alright. Now, muchachos, we need a corridor. Fine, happy.
Any of your minions can pick up and use a fire extinguisher.
Now, go away. Corridor. Like that. Now, we want a control.
New main objective available.
You can deploy devious traps throughout the corridors of your lair to help fend off snooping agents.
Let's try this again, shall we? Now, there. It's like Gloria should not have been drinking water. I have to go to the bathroom again.
Make sure you train enough technicians to keep all your traps in working order.
Have fun watching.
Traps won't trigger if their durability gets too low.
New optional objective available. New research has been completed. New optional objective available.
For the record, if we're hearing that, I have to cut that out probably.
Salaries
All right.
paid.
No. Now. Huzzah. Let's search some more
Research
stuff.
has begun.
Now, control room. Don't interrupt me. Shut up.
New main objective available.
Shut up.
We have picked up some movement near your lair. Keep an eye out for incoming agents.
Not enough gold to complete this construction.
I'm rich. The laws of physics don't apply to me. Now, let's make some alterations to the...
This agent looks like they might have some juicy information. Tag them for capture.
I'm gonna slow this down.
Locate and grab that intruder.
Capturing agents such as this investigator is a great way of ensuring they don't inform the authorities of your dastardly deeds.
And this way. And we'll fill this in with dirt.
Your broadcast strength has run out.
Tell me what I'm... For the record, I don't know if I could really get into character as an evil genius. Not the genius part, obviously that would be easy, but you know. Obviously everything else. Oh, crap. Just occurred to me that,
Your scientists have made a breakthrough.
it might be a little bit hard to get money with a broadcast strength. Which one is actually still up and running? So is that still earning stuff? What? Get that person. Alright, so... okay. That's going, alright. Hopefully it'll start amping up here a little bit. And this one is just reducing heat, alright. I don't think I can change anything right now. Come on. Get that crap out of the way. The thing is, I don't know if there's a way to go back on, unless I went into the work tab, maybe? Alright, let's go in there. Control room. Let's set it there instead.
We have captured an intruder.
Select the holding cell and then select escort prisoner. After that, select the interrogation device. For now, that's the interrogation chair.
The plot thickens.
Broadcast strength resumed.
Wonderful. Alright, at least now money's coming in. And unfortunately, you guys are gonna be pissed when I can't pay them. Cause I don't know what the payday is. It's 4,000, so yeah, that's gonna be. Oh, hold on. Let's check the objectives here.
New optional objective available. An intruder has given us their secrets.
Being a clever technician is brain-straining work, and this drains smarts. When a minion's smarts drops to critical levels, they'll need to study in the archive.
You can't afford to pay all of your minions.
Alright, fine. Where did I put this one? Go here by the infirmary. Just in case they get mentally infirm, they can.
A re-educator will teach your minions everything they need to know about the world and how it works. Greed is good, and so on.
Alright, cancel that. Heat is fine.
A minion will always attempt to rest before their smarts becomes critical. If their smarts is this low, it often means an agent has bamboozled them.
Bamboozled. Alright. Now, again, I'm done with this. I need to start earning some money here, guys.
Nope. Is there no other jobs involved here? Come on. Come on, people. Let's do some stuff. Here we go. Nice. Alright. Going. There we go. Finally. Yeah, generally in the later levels, it's kind of, I think, money becomes much less of a problem, at least for me. Maybe it's just the way I was building it, but maybe it was too many controls or too many things going for not enough control stuff thingies. Alright. Now. Oh, shit. You know what? Not yet. Alright, now. All these things moved over. Now. Dirt. I guess I could pay him this time. Alright.
Side story complete.
Fantastic.
You there, the one in the apron. What is it you do around here?
Me? I repair things, prevent breakages, turn things off and on again.
Oh, good. We need someone to keep the lair in good working order. If you come across any corpses, just don't turn them back on. I like them that way.
Our lair is getting busy. Just one more side story to go.
Another group of agents. Can't a genius with a dubious criminal past purchase an exotic lair in peace anymore?
It's probably all the helicopters. They'll be wondering what we're doing out here.
That's why I chose this location. It has the perfect cover operation.
I think the problem is that it's abandoned, boss.
For once, you make a good point. Very well. Hire some staff. Dress them well, teach them.
Many objectives require you to send different types of minions to run special schemes. Let's go to the world stage to get started. One of the highlighted schemes is near one of your criminal networks. You can send minions to complete the scheme now, or you can search the globe for an alternative.
Now, more power.
Not enough gold to complete this construction.
Trish. This needs to be expanded over into here. This needs to be expanded back into here. You can never have enough room for gold, right?
Salaries paid.
No research going on right now. Alright. Yeah. Yeah. Did I get both of these unlocked? Node researched. Alright. Basic training. Eagle 101.
Research has begun.
Your minions have kidnapped a specialist. Once they're in a holding cell, you can choose to interrogate them.
That's a bigger cafeteria. Could probably expand the barracks a little bit. Figure it. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if you re-educate them instead of interrogating them, if you get the same amount of whatever.
An intruder has been captured.
Select the holding cell and then select escort prisoner. After that, select the interrogation device. For now, that's the interrogation chair.
Optional objective complete.
It's ghoulish, I know, but I enjoy watching. What, Willie? For the win.
An intruder has given
Please,
us
that
their
was.
secrets.
Interrogation has revealed to us how to build new training furniture. Build the new item in your training room.
Good glory, how's the valley so gigantic? Stick that there. I really need this. That needs to be priority right here. Get a better rate of income here. That'll, I think, improve stuff, hopefully. Capacitors. I should get some of that sometime, too. I should see if there would be a better way of doing this. 2 blocks, maybe? He's not exactly an idiot. What the heck? So that one I could put together, but not. Oh, that's weird. Alright, let's get that done. ASAP. Shush. Next thing up needs to be some power stuff. Get it paid already.
Salaries paid.
They all going? I think they're all going. Getting about as much money as we can right now. Actually, right now I have quite a bit of power, actually. So I can probably put some more. we've done the. Nothing ever. To be fair, this is a sim game, so technically, I mean, it's part and parcel. That's a little bit boring. All right, we have another. So should be able to start another one, I think. Let's go with Europe. Get some more money flowing here if we can. Now, research. We've been doing that all along. Which is not. Why am I paused it? Why is it paused? 0 of 1 minions working. 1 scientist. Maybe I need more scientists? I don't know. But that's what it should get. I think it stores a lot more gold. Do I not have enough whiteboards for it or some crap? Why are you not researching? 1 scientist, 1 whiteboard. Oh, it costs money. Okay, never mind.
A new criminal network has been established.
Alright. Bob's your uncle. Nope. Required ballots. Nothing else. No. Somewhere. I'll check back in a little while. Need ballots for that one. Alright. Technically I do have enough for some more networks. Okay, let's go here. China. China. Why in the world is this just left this one sitting? We don't have any others sitting around doing nothing. Alright, now we're down to 0 broadcast rank. Alright. That's maximum usage. There we go. Now. Get some real cash flowing.
A new criminal network has been established.
Why in the hell can that not happen? Like what's
A new criminal
glitch?
network has been established.
All right, with that. Australia, we're coming for you. All right, now we have some stuff going. Stuff moving and shaking.
Salaries paid.
Located hall. I think that's wonderful. Look at that build. Come on, Worker Bee. We'll maybe see if there's a little bit more to do on that. I'll be done for right now. Enough progress to be made there.
New main objective available.
Head to the minion training screen to request some advanced minions. Request the amount of this specialist you want in your lair. Your minions will always try to keep to this number. Your workers will start to train automatically. They'll learn faster if another minion is able to teach them.
Alright, now the power pretty much where it needs to be.
A scheme has succeeded.
To ensure your cover operation is perceived as legitimate, you need some activities for your guests to use. Request some roulette tables to be built in your cover operations.
Oh, and that's the other thing. I think actually the casino also brings in quite a bit of money. You know what? I think we're gonna have that be it for today. Alright. Thanks for watching, etc., etc. Huzzah. Hallelujah. Hooray.